Hey there, and welcome to another trip report. I'm at Honolulu's Daniel K. Inouye International Airport on the Hawaiian island of Oahu, having just arrived off of a Hawaiian Airlines inter-island flight from Kona. I'm about to board the WillAviation Terminal Shuttle from Terminal 1, used exclusively by Hawaiian Airlines, over to Terminal 2, where I'll be catching Air Canada Flight 590 to Toronto. This direct service is the longest route that Air Canada operates within North America, and I'm excited to be doing it in Signature Class this evening, which is Air Canada's business class product on their international and certain domestic routes. After a 3-minute shuttle ride, I'm now on the lower level of Terminal 2. Taking a look at the flight information board, my flight is still on time, scheduled for departure at 10:10 p.m. from Gate D2. Check-in is on the floor above and is divided into 5 different lobbies, with Air Canada check-in at Lobby 4. Heading upstairs and into the check-in area, as a Signature Class passenger, I have access to the priority check-in line. Since I'm 4 hours early for my flight tonight, it's very quiet up here, and there's no queue for economy or priority check-in. I was able to see an agent right away and have my baggage weighed and checked in. On a business class ticket, you receive 2 complimentary checked bags, each with a maximum weight of 32 kilograms or 70 pounds. Baggage also receives a Star Alliance priority sticker for expedited handling. Boarding pass in hand, time to head to security screening. The nearest security checkpoint to Lobby 4 is checkpoint number 2, which appears to be closed, so I'm heading to checkpoint 3 instead, which is only a 2-minute walk away. There doesn't seem to be a dedicated priority security line for business class travelers, but thankfully the line for general screening is very short this evening. From entering the line to exiting screening, it took 6 minutes, and I'm now standing in what is essentially the center of Terminal 2. This terminal is divided into 3 concourses, with the central concourse straight ahead of me housing the E gates, the Diamond Head concourse to my left housing the G gates, and the Eva concourse to my right housing the C gates. The F and D gates are located along this main corridor, not on one of the protruding concourses, and the A and B gates are located in the airport's Terminal 1. Many of the shops along this corridor are closed, which seems strange on a Sunday night at 7 p.m. when lots of overnight flights are getting ready to depart. On an Air Canada business class ticket, I have complimentary access to the United Club Lounge here in Honolulu, since there is no Air Canada Maple Leaf Lounge. The unfortunate thing about this is that United Airlines uses the G gates, and thus the United Club is located in that area near Gate G3, which is quite a walk from where my Air Canada flight is departing from at Gate D2. After scanning my boarding pass, I'm inside with about 2 hours to kill before my flight boards. Taking a quick walking tour through the lounge, this main corridor leads from the reception desk into the lounge, with sitting areas off to the right along the windows, and restrooms, the food buffet counter, and bar area off to the left. While the lounge doesn't feel very modern or appear recently renovated, it does have a very island feel to it and is a pleasant space to spend time. The lounge is quite busy, but I managed to find a set of lounger chairs near the buffet area to put my things down. The side tables at these seats are also equipped with power outlets and USB charging. Heading back over to the buffet, on the food counter we have fresh pineapple, green salad and macaroni salad, cheese cubes and crackers, and for the main offering, the option of either make your own barbecue jackfruit sliders or pork char siu. The slider station also has diced pineapple, jalapenos, spinach, coleslaw, and hoisin sauce, along with fresh bread rolls. On the end of the food counter, we have a clam chowder, and on the small side table off the main food counter, we have a snack station which features mixed nuts, gummy candy, and coated popcorn. I decided to make myself some jackfruit and pork sliders, which were interesting. The pork was very tasty, but I was less impressed by the jackfruit. However, if you put enough hoisin sauce on anything, it'll taste just fine. Headed down towards the bar area, just past the buffet counters there's a coffee machine, juice and water dispenser, and a make-your-own hot chocolate station, complete with hot chocolate powder, marshmallows, and whipped cream. Beverages available at the bar include select beer, wine, and spirits, but more importantly, they have a pineapple Dole Whip machine. This was the perfect dessert, so I grabbed some and headed back to my seat, along with a selection of snacks from the buffet area. My flight is scheduled to start boarding at 9:25 p.m., so at about 9 p.m. I decided to head over to the gate. Headed back the same route towards the exit of Security Checkpoint 3, it's about a 10-minute walk from the lounge to my gate, passing again through the various open-air parts of the terminal, which are so cool. As we approach the gate, let's catch a glimpse of the aircraft taking me to Toronto this evening. I'll be on board this 3.5-year-old Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner that was delivered new to Air Canada in April 2019, and arrived from Toronto about an hour ago as AC-589. Air Canada has 29 Boeing 787-9s in their fleet, with an additional 3 aircraft on order. These aircraft are deployed on a variety of routes, from domestic cross-countries to some of Air Canada's longest trans-Pacific and transatlantic routes. Heading into the gate area, it's quite full, with about 15 minutes to go before boarding is scheduled to begin. Air Canada boards their aircraft by zone number, with Zone 1 for business class and Aeroplan Super Elite members, Zone 2 for premium economy and all other Aeroplan Elite status members, and Zones 3 and up for economy passengers without status. At 9:15 p.m., they announced boarding for Zone 1 passengers was now commencing, 10 minutes ahead of schedule. After a passport check and boarding pass scan, I'm on my way down the jet bridge. Stepping on board the aircraft, to the right we have the premium economy and economy class cabins, and to the left we have the business class cabin. Crossing over to the right aisle and entering the cabin from the rear, you can see that the seats in business on this aircraft are in a 1-2-1 seating configuration, with each seat having direct aisle access. I'm booked in seat 6K for tonight's flight, which is a single window seat on the right side of the aircraft in row 6. There are 30 business class seats in total, spread across 8 rows. Each seat is a pod, complete with an entertainment screen, storage, and the ability to convert into a fully flat bed, which I'm very much looking forward to on this overnight flight. I love Air Canada's business class cabins on their wide-body aircraft, and while the color palette is simple and monochrome, it gives the seats a very sleek and clean feeling. For the 2 seats down the center of the cabin in each row, there's a fixed partition separating them, which is not movable. In terms of cabin baggage storage, there's space under the seat in the footwell, but also tons of space in the huge overhead bins. Taking a look at what was provided at the seat when we boarded the aircraft, on the seat itself we have a set of bedding including a pillow, blanket, and mattress pad. Next to the entertainment screen at each seat, we have a water bottle and a set of noise-canceling headphones for use with the entertainment system. Unfortunately, no amenity kit is provided. On the right side of my seat, between the seat and the window, there's a huge ledge for placing items, though not advisable during takeoff or landing. There's a compartment hidden underneath the ledge which stores the remote control for the entertainment system, along with a headphone port for connecting to the entertainment system audio, and a USB 3.0 port and AC power outlet for charging your devices. The remote control pops out for use and is tethered to a cord. On the right side of the seat, we also have buttons for the seat recline position, and this touchscreen to control different functions of the seat. Here you can control the lighting in the seat, request service from the cabin crew, and adjust various seat comfort settings. In the lighting menu, we can control the dimmer of the windows, the lighting in the seat footwell near the footrest, and the lighting on the overhead panel. Also on the overhead panel, there are adjustable air vents, with 2 vents for my seat. While on the topic of in-seat lighting, we also have a small reading light that pops out from the pod sidewall. Back to the control screen, in the service section you can display messages for the cabin crew as well as call an attendant. In the comfort section, you can adjust the massage function of the seat, lumbar support, or firmness of the mattress. And in the control section, you can adjust the recline position of the seat and put the seat into fully flat position. Directly in front of the seat, we have an 18-inch entertainment screen, which will check out after takeoff. Below the screen, we have the tray table for the seat with a latch on the underside that allows you to pull it out and slide it along its mounting rails, with a couple different latch positions to lock it at. When extended, the table is very sturdy and flips out to double the size, giving you tons of surface area. In the space underneath the entertainment screen and tray table where your legs go, there's a footrest, and as you can see, the legroom in these seats is very impressive, as at my height of 5'10", I can't reach the footrest when the seat is in the upright position. On the right side, there's a small indented area for placing something, and we have a pocket for storing the provided reading materials, which include the safety information card for the Boeing 787-9, along with a couple air sickness bags. On the left side, there's another pocket which could be good for storing your book or a small laptop. I will note, however, that my 15-inch MacBook did not fit here. Along the top of the pod sidewall, we have a small notch for hanging your coat, and on the outside edge of the seat next to the aisle, there's a leather padded armrest that rises upwards at the push of a button, but is to be stowed during takeoff and landing. Under this armrest, there's a small cubby for storing things, but it's very exposed to the aisle, so I can't imagine using it for anything other than garbage. Another thing I love about these seats is just how private they are, and a major contributor to this is the fact that every seat faces away from the aisle. When you're seated, you really can't see anyone else in the cabin, unless you pop your head up above the pod walls.
Thank you for helping us ensure travel with us is safe, comfortable, and on time.
After everyone had settled into their seats, the crew came through and handed out menus to each passenger for the service on tonight's flight. On this overnight flight, dinner is served shortly after takeoff, followed by a second light meal in the morning prior to landing. For dinner, there's an appetizer, 4 different main meal options, and cheeses and dessert. For the main, there's beef short rib with sweet potato, chicken stroganoff with egg noodles, pan-fried salmon with Spanish rice, and penne pasta in rosé sauce. In the morning, the second service consists of a cold plate of chilled chicken and veggies, an interesting choice for breakfast and somewhat of a disappointment, but we'll get into that later on. The menu also lists the beverages available, and the alcoholic beverages are included on a separate card with a selection of red and white wines, champagne, as well as beers and other spirits. Shortly before pushback from the gate, one of the flight attendants came through to check in with each passenger and ask what they'd like as their main meal. The crew is quite senior, and their experience shows. My first couple interactions were warm and friendly and have me looking forward to the rest of the flight.
Welcome aboard Air Canada.
Bienvenue à bord d'Air Canada.
For the tab, to bring the mask towards you, use the support strap to hold the mask over your mouth and nose and breathe normally. Always secure your own...
We began our pushback from the gate at 9:56 p.m., 14 minutes ahead of schedule, and with the cabin lights now dimmed, we're taxiing over to runway 8 right for departure. This runway, also known as the Reef Runway, was built entirely offshore and borders a coral reef. This departure will send us out east of the airport towards Waikiki and downtown Honolulu, and from there we'll bend around the southeastern tip of Oahu and then turn northeast to head towards Toronto. After an early departure from Honolulu, we're heading up to our cruising altitude for the 8.5-hour journey ahead. Before we left the gate, I noted that my entertainment screen was frozen and asked the flight attendant if they could reset it. After a couple more reset attempts, it seems to be working fine now, so let's take a closer look. We'll start by using the remote, which is touchscreen controlled, but also has buttons on the left and right sides of the screen to toggle different functions like the overhead seat lighting and attendant call button, along with navigation buttons. The remote screen is essentially a miniature version of the larger entertainment screen. Getting into the system, we have on-demand content available, which includes movies, TV shows, music, audiobooks, podcasts, and games, with a good range of content available under each submenu. Overall, the remote is quick to respond and the graphics quality is very high. The entertainment screen itself is also a touchscreen and can be controlled that way as well. Continuing our tour, there's an air health section with different articles and activities to keep you healthy on long flights. There's a section where you can view the food and drink options available on tonight's flight, though the business class menu isn't shown here. There's a news section with up-to-date headlines and articles, a kids content section with on-demand movies, TV shows, music, and games targeted to kids, a section with different city guides to help you prepare for your destination, and finally, a section about Air Canada's partnerships and their frequent flyer program, Aeroplan. Checking out the in-flight maps next, you have 3 different options for viewing. either picture-in-picture mode or full screen mode on the main screen, or full screen mode on the remote. The quality is very good, with lots of different viewing options and 3D visuals. Another really cool feature that I love is the ability to control the map on the main screen from the remote control, demonstrating a really nice integration between these two devices. From the top right corner of the main screen, you can control the overhead reading light and attendant call button, and there's a settings menu where you can control the screen brightness, system volume, and window dimmer, as well as other functions like system language, screen messages, parental control, and graphics night mode. About 10 minutes after takeoff, the cabin crew came through with hot cleansing towels before beginning the in-flight service. And another 20 minutes later, they came through to each seat, pulled out the tray table, and laid a tablecloth for each passenger. Another 5 minutes later, and the meal service commenced. With the tray, the flight attendant also offered a drink, so I opted for a white wine. On the tray right now, we have the appetizer in the bottom right corner, which is a caprese salad of aroma tomato, mozzarella, lettuce, and basil. In the bottom left, we have a cheese plate with grapes for after the main dish, and up in the top right, we have a bread roll, a packet of crackers to accompany the cheeses, and a packet of balsamic vinaigrette for the salad, along with salt and pepper shakers and butter. A set of metal cutlery was also provided. And finally, in the top left corner of the tray, we have guava cake for dessert. The appetizer was tasty, though not the most appealing once covered in the balsamic dressing, and the bread roll was very dry. Air Canada paces their business class meal service by bringing the main tray first with the appetizer and desserts, and then once you've finished your appetizer, they replace that single dish with your selected main course. For my main, I opted for the beef short rib, served in a red wine sauce with braised sweet potato and green beans. While the presentation was nice, the dish didn't impress me. The sauce was by far the best part, and there wasn't nearly enough of it to salvage the rest of the dish. The beef was fine, but not very tender at all, and the sweet potato didn't really taste like sweet potato. Shuffling things around on my tray, I've moved on to dessert and cheeses. This cake is definitely the highlight, super soft with a nice creamy and tasty icing. After the dinner service was cleared away, I asked for a tea and a glass of Dow's port. Criticisms aside, this was a full meal service, which I'm thankful for, as in economy class on this flight, there's no complimentary food offered, even though it's a nearly 9-hour journey. It's been 1 hour and 15 minutes now since we departed Honolulu, so time to settle in and get some rest. Getting up to lay down the mattress pad, the process of actually putting the seat into lie-flat mode can be done at the push of a button without getting up. With the seat flat and the footrest extended, you can see how your legs slide nicely under the entertainment screen and tray table. Before getting some sleep, I decided to stretch my legs and visit the washroom. There's one lavatory located at the front of the business cabin, and another 2 located in the galley area between business and premium, which are much more spacious and even have a window. The bright lighting really helps to open up the space as well, and overall it's very clean and well kept. The faucet is motion controlled with buttons to adjust the temperature, and there's hand soap and different hand lotions provided as well. Heading back to my seat, the cabin lights are dimmed and most people are either watching a show or turning down for the night. My plan is to get some sleep to help ease the jet lag tomorrow after we land. 6 hours to go before landing, so I'm really hoping I can get at least 4 hours of shut-eye. After a solid 4.5 hours of sleep, the cabin lights are slowly coming back on. It's now 10 a.m. local time in Toronto, and we've got another 1.5 hours to go before landing. At some point during the flight, the crew placed snack baskets up at the front of the business cabin, which included chocolate bars, chips, and gummy bears. Now that it's light outside, we can check out one of the unique features of the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, the dimmable windows. Instead of having standard pull-down window shades, these windows are controlled by an adjustable dimmer. The 2 windows at my seat can be controlled from the button below each window, from the settings menu on the entertainment screen, or from the lighting menu on the control panel screen. There are 5 different dimmer levels from fully open to fully dimmed. A very cool feature and unique to the 787 Dreamliner. 10 minutes after the lights started to turn on, the crew came through with the second meal service of the flight. Now, I would say that on a 9-hour overnight flight, one would expect a full breakfast as the second meal service in the morning, whether that be a continental breakfast or a hot meal service. What was offered on this flight was neither of those options. Not only was there no choice as to what your meal was, instead of breakfast, the offering was a plate of chilled chicken served on lettuce with cucumbers, tomatoes, and coleslaw. This was a huge disappointment as I was looking forward to something like an omelet or pancakes after a long overnight flight, and wasn't really feeling cold chicken served on salad first thing in the morning. The fruit was fine, but the bread roll was cold and possibly still frozen. I avoided that as well. It's safe to say that this meal was not well received throughout the cabin in general, with most plates going untouched. Drink service was also offered with the tray, and I opted for an orange juice and a water. With an hour to go before landing, let's check out the onboard Wi-Fi. To connect, you join the AC Wi-Fi network and a pop-up window will prompt you to open your browser. Here you're able to view some limited information, including the weather at your destination, the flight time remaining, and the Wi-Fi pass options available to browse further and access other web services. There are 3 different passes that you can purchase: the Browse Pass for light browsing, messaging, and social media, the Stream Pass for streaming video, and the Ultimate Pass for high-speed access. You can purchase passes with cash or Aeroplan points for different durations. Without purchasing a pass, however, you do still have access to aircanada.com, though the speeds are quite slow. Beginning our descent towards Toronto's Pearson International Airport, it's time to put my seat back upright. The over-ear headphones that were provided to business class passengers were collected before landing and replaced with disposable earbuds. As we continued our approach, one of the flight attendants came through to each business class seat and personally thanked each passenger for choosing Air Canada, another really nice touch from a very experienced crew. After touchdown on runway 06 left at 11:27 a.m., we're now taxiing over to our gate on the airport's Terminal 1. From there, I'll deplane, clear Canadian immigration, and proceed to the domestic section of the terminal, as I have a connecting flight to Montreal, also with Air Canada. We're pulling onto the stand 18 minutes ahead of schedule.
Flight attendants, please prepare to restart our run. Yeah.
As a connecting passenger, I proceed to a dedicated immigration hall and won't have to re-clear security during my transfer to the domestic D gates. My baggage is also checked through to my final destination. Pearson Airport does a fantastic job of streamlining the connection process for connecting passengers, with clear signage and maps to tell you exactly where to go. Thanks for joining me for this trip, and I hope you enjoyed it. Overall, I had high hopes for this flight, but was a little disappointed in a couple ways. For starters, even though this is a 9-hour flight, because it's within North America, it's not classified as international. For the business class experience, this means no amenity kits provided during boarding and a reduced meal service. This reduced meal service is my biggest issue with the flight. Although the first service was reasonably good, the second service did not meet my expectations and was generally a weird offering for what would be considered breakfast. Aside from that, I love how consistently comfortable and private these pod seats are, with a full set of bedding and lie-flat capability. And the overall saving grace, fantastic service from the crew who were extremely personable and outgoing.